Good morning, Helen. Morning. And Alice. Good morning, Elizabeth. I'm a little bit early today because it's my mother-in-law's day off, and she's just left to go get the papers for a friend. And so I thought, while she's gone, I'll just get cracking, you know? Good morning. Because I know what's going to happen is she'll end up sitting like over at the table, and then you guys will be able to hear everything. This video picks up on everything. It's crazy. Like, I can't even do laundry, like, because the laundry machine is right behind me. I can't even do laundry in the morning because it's so loud that you can hear everything on the video. So this morning I lost at thread chicken. You can see I just have 2 little petals left. And I literally went to the end. This is all that I have left. That's what I've cut off. So, yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, she is staying with us. Maybe for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. We'll see. So, like, no one's ill or nothing's wrong or anything like that. Just like some family issues, you know. So, she's staying. She moved on in. So today we're going to do the brick stitch. I actually really like the brick stitch. It's a really nice way to fill things in. And it has like a rhythm, kind of, you know? Whereas sometimes with the satin stitch, look how sunny it is. Sometimes with the satin stitch, like sometimes you go all the way. Sometimes you only go 3/4 of the way. You have to kind of change your plan depending on what the shape of the petal is, you know, so it goes around. But with brick stitch, all your stitches are the same length, so you choose one length, you do them all the same. Only with brick stitch is you're going to offset them like bricks. Yeah? Super fun. So I'll just show you what I mean real quick on the scrap piece of fabric, because sometimes people get a little bit like, what do you mean? So you're just going to offset them like bricks. So pretend that this is 1 stitch. Yeah. So you can do your back stitch. Same hole. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. And the next ones in the next row. So you work it in a line. So like this, and then like this, and then like this, yeah? The next ones are going to be like bricks. So you have a half stitch to start, halfway, and then halfway to the next one, and then halfway to the next one. So your next row is going to be in the middle of these ones here. Does that make sense? And then the third row is going to be back to normal. So you have 3 regular long stitches. So half, half, half. Yeah, just like you're laying bricks. Got it? So what we'll do is we'll do 2 rows here for the stem, and then we'll do the middle, and we'll work our way down and work our way up. So let's get started. I'm going to use all 6 strands, but you can use a little bit less if you want to. It's completely up to you. I think it's a little bit easier for you guys to see if I use all 6, but also this are really big leaves. So if you use 3, you're gonna be at it for a while, if you know what I mean. So let's get started with this one, just the stem, make it easy peasy. And don't forget, we are gonna do 2 rows for this flower. Good morning, Mother. It is early there. Okay. So just like the back stitch for the first row, whatever is your stitch length, that's kind of what you have to keep with. So if you make them really long, then you have to keep them really long the whole time. If you make them really short, you have to keep them really short the whole time. Just doing a little half stitch at the bottom. Okay, so of course I said we're gonna do 2 rows here because it is a brick stitch, and I'm gonna do a brick stitch stem. So the stem is gonna be thicker. It's gonna be 2 rows of back stitch, and they're offset like bricks. So come up in the middle of each one, yeah? Not in the middle of each stitch, the row over, but the middle. That's where you're gonna line them up. Now, do you remember when I was talking about planning your stitches and planning where you start and end? Obviously, I've done this wrong because I should have started at the bottom, worked my way up, and then worked my way back down, and I would have been in a prime spot to start the leaves. But now I've gone from the top down and then the down back up to the top. So now I'm going to have this weird, have to go back down, you know, to start the next part. So have a think about where you're going to start and where you're going to end. Like, I should have known better, basically. This thread is really fluffy right there. I don't know why. And then you'll need that little half stitch. And I'm just going to shove it up under this, if I can get it to go. So it looks like it really came straight from underneath this flower. Yeah, like that. I don't know why this is fluffy. I'll probably end up taking it out later. Okay, so now we're gonna get started on the leaves. So you can do this one of 2 ways. You can do straight out, which is the way I'm gonna do it, which is where you start from the middle, yeah? And you make your lines straight out that way, and then straight out up this way. So right down the middle of each leaf. And if you need to make the lines to make sure your lines are straight, then you can. Or you can make it straight up and down, like this. It's completely up to you. I prefer it this way a little bit better, but that's just me. I think it kind of mimics how leaves are in nature. Like there normally is a line down the middle, and they kind of grow out that way, but that doesn't mean that you can't change it. So it just depends on what you like. So here we go. And remember, whatever stitch that you start with, that's the length of all of your stitches. You want to try and keep them the same length throughout the whole leaf, the whole stem, the whole leaf. I mean, the stem you could probably do a little bit thicker, or longer or shorter if you really wanted to. But you have to keep it consistent for whatever part you're stitching. So not on the back. So if you're doing a leaf, make them all the same. If you're gonna do the stem, make them all the same. So the first row again is just like a back stitch. I'm just gonna go into this here a little bit so that I can cover it later. Okay, so now we're gonna go either on top or on bottom. Either one is fine. You can choose whichever way you wanna go. I'll do the top. You're gonna go in the middle, come up right between, and you wanna just make these stitches 1 thread length higher. Does that make sense? So you want them to touch, you want them to be like close, but you don't want them to be like into each other. And this is also where you can do with like the thread saver back stitch method, you know, where you come up in the same hole here instead of going back, forward, and then back. You can do that if you want to. Alice says, I've been so bad at this stitch. it's good. I have no excuse but to practice now. Yeah. I think people have a really hard time, one, keeping their stitches the same, and even mine. They started out quite the same, and then towards the end, they got a little bit, you know. But it also is really good to have a think about how far up you go. So you just want it to be a thread length, you know, so that they all lay in a row. And I think a lot of people, they put too much space between, or they don't offset them like bricks. This is a little bit similar to the long and short stitch. And some people really like that. Some people really hate it. But to be fair, I do like the brick stitch because you work it in lines like this. So it's almost like you're laying little bricks. And actually, last night I just finished the stitches for the house, and I'll show you this thread. I don't know what is the deal with it, but it's like got this puffy thing here, and then obviously there's, what's going on? Yeah, look, it's like, what is your deal, man? But yeah, anyways, this is one of the alternate stitches that you can use for the house. So last night I made, did some research, and I made the cutest little house. So I just traced this whole house here and put on a new fabric and a new hoop, just so I can like try out some different techniques. Because I really wanted to show some new stitches. And one of my friend's favorite stitch, I said, you know what, I'm going to use it in the next Stitchalong somehow. And I am going to use it. We are going to learn it. So I can't wait to show you. I honestly cannot wait. I'll show you at the end of the video, you know, so that you can see what the stitches are. I won't tell you the names. I'll just show you the picture, just show you the embroidery. But yeah, I'm so excited. So back to this real quick. You can do an outline on this if you want to, or you can just let the stitches be the stitches and fill up the space. That is entirely up to you. What is happening? This green is going to be the death of me. So this is where you need to be a little bit careful when you do the round parts, because it's easy to do just the straight up bricks in the middle, 6 strands. But when you start to get to the round parts, this is where you have to have a little think about, one, how long your stitches are going to be. So what I like to do is do the middle part first, where I know where the full brick is going to go, meaning the full length of the stitch that I've chosen. Yours might be like shorter or longer, just depends on what you chose. And then after you do the full brick, you can fill in the other sides, because these aren't going to line up with the other ones. They're going to be way shorter, and they might actually be not the same size as all the other ones. And that's okay, because we're filling the space, we're filling the shape. So if you get to this point and you're like, oh no, what am I going to do here? Do the full brick first, because it fills up the space, and then you can do the edges with the shorter stitches, just to make that nice curve. And that means that you might fall out of the pattern of like how you're meant to do, these are air finger quotes, yeah, how like you're meant to do brick stitch or back stitch brick stitch, because technically you're supposed to work in a straight line. So you're not supposed to be jumping all around, like do the middle, then do the end, then do that end. But break the rules, you know? No one's gonna know but you. And you want to get that nice round shape to your leaves. We don't want to have like a Tetris, you know, leaf where like the very top is just like has a staggered effect. So I'm just going to jump straight down here, and continue doing the bottom with the straight lines. And the same way, the half stitch here because it's a little half brick, and then right up in the middle. I know I keep saying in the middle, but again, I'm not going through any stitches. I'm working the line right below what we're doing. And then the same hole, just like a back stitch. So it's basically like a back stitch, but with a pattern. I do like this stitch though. I feel like it can get a bit mindless, you know, because like, you know, once you get the pattern down, you can just kind of sit back and stitch. Whereas some other stitches that we'll learn, you kind of have to think, okay, first I do this and then I do this and make this one offset, or this one has to go here. You can just sit down and stitch. Just going back and doing this little one to fill in that space, because I really want to go straight up to that roof line of the house. I don't want to leave any gaps there, because when we fill in the roof of the house, if you do have a really big gap there, you'll have to fill in more roof, do you know what I mean? And then they're going to look lopsided. So one side will have more than the other one. Oh, what is your absolute favorite stitch? Oh my goodness. I don't know. See, I feel like I could have a lot of different answers with this. Okay, so I'm also a Libra, so I'm really indecisive. And I'm not just saying that because, oh, I'm a Libra, I'm indecisive. But I genuinely am. Like, I can see on both sides of an argument. I can make pros and cons for lots of different things, you know what I mean? Ugh, I'm so bad at this. But as far as like most versatile stitch, I would probably say that I use the satin stitch the most to fill things in. As you could probably tell from the Stitchalongs, you can use it for so many things. I also really like stem stitch. But then at the same time, you can't beat just a regular back stitch because you use it for everything, you know? Oh, someone said, just finished the whole February stitch along on YouTube. I'm so sad it's over. Going to start another one later. I loved both of the February stitch alongs. I thought they were so fun. And I love like the ladies surrounded by the flowers, you know? I think it's hard, like as a pattern maker, to make sure that you're always making patterns that, one, that you love, but two, that you think other people will love as well, you know? Because part of me is like, okay, how many more flowers can you really stitch? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how many more patterns can you just throw a bunch of flowers together and be like, it's done? But every one I make, I think there are so many flowers I haven't stitched. I have to keep going. And even so, I know I shared a couple weeks ago a video of like a Procreate video of a bunch of flowers being drawn. And I keep thinking back to that because I can seriously think of so many more flowers that I haven't made yet, that I haven't stitched yet. So I'm like, I can't stop now, guys. Sorry. I've just got one more little one right here, and then this leaf is finished. Boom! There we go. Okay. Let me just get a drink real quick. Now we're going to start this one. Let me zoom out and you can kind of see how it looks compared to all the other ones. So it does give a texture, and it does look like a brick. So if you're not interested, I'll show you just right now of learning the new stitches, because I've actually never taught these 2 stitches before. So they are completely new. So it doesn't matter if you've done all of my stitch-alongs or this is your first one. I've never taught these before, so I'm really excited to show you. So if you don't want to do the house, how I'm going to do the house, you could definitely do the brick stitch for the whole house. Yeah? You just need to make sure that you do the lines like that. Like I did here to kind of guide you. Just make sure that you do the lines here in a row. And I'll talk about that when we do the house as well. So this is the house that I came up with yesterday. I think it's so cute. Like, I'm obsessed with it. Like, I'm genuinely obsessed with it. So this will take about 3 days to make, I think. I still have to do the curtains, so we'll see about those. But yeah, so this is what the house is going to look like. So imagine that in the middle. So you can pick your colors, plan your life, you know. Oh, someone says, I really want to try turkey work flowers, but terrified of messing it up. I did that in the stitch along. So if you want to stitch along and make it, I explain how to do that in the stitch along. Yeah, in the February one. Okay, I'm gonna start. Thank you. Lots of people are saying that the house is really cute, so I'm glad. I was a little bit worried that people were gonna be like, oh my God, I'm not doing that. That's too much work. But actually it's satin stitch, which by the end of the stitch along you'll nail because we've done it so much. But we'll also have a lot of practice. And yeah, and just straight stitches. So I'm really excited. I think it'll be really cool. I'm definitely going to stitch up like 2 or 3 more houses and maybe just put them up in the shop if anybody wants to grab like an original, you know. I'm always making little originals that I can sell at like markets or craft fairs, or especially like around the holidays. We talked about that last night. Yeah, love the roof so much. And there's a lot that you can do with that as well. So I used, for the house, I used the same color for the satin stitch and like the details. So you could do a different color for the details if you wanted. And the same with the roof. You could, so I used 2 different colors for that, but you could even do 3 or 4 if you really wanted to get crazy with it. So I think it's going to be really cute. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, it's really beginner friendly because, like I said, we've already done all the stitches that are involved. So it's just straight stitches and satin stitches, that's it. And a back stitch outline. Thank you. Oh, lots of people love it. Oh, I'm so glad. I honestly thought you guys were going to be like, Tori, calm down. That's too much. I did it in green as well. Where's that one? All my scraps are stuck to it, but I did it in green as well. And doesn't it look like one of those like cushions? You know, like someone like sits on a cushion. Like older kind of cushions. I'm gonna need more thread. Let's do one more. Or like the top of a jewelry box or something. I don't know, I just love it. And so I was like, I'm going to use this stitch somewhere. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, so I'm glad that you like it. But no thread painting this time, guys, sorry. I know everyone's gonna be really disappointed. That was sarcasm because everybody seems to hate the thread painting that we did last time. Oh, so many people have been like, no thread painting, I don't want to do it. Yeah, Marian says it looks like the cushions in like castles and museums. Yeah. And I think it looks like almost like a thatched roof kind of, you know, like cottages have. So actually you can tell from the drawing, I had a different idea for this. So I'll probably end up showing you both or telling you how to do the first idea I had, and then you can choose which way you want. The other way I was going to do it was to use colored pencils, and you can actually color them in. So if you really are not interested, which my whole thing is like, obviously try, like, you know, try it, because maybe it looks difficult, but it's not. And to be honest, it's not difficult at all. But give it a go and try it. And if you really don't like it, then there's a lot of different alternative. I don't know what my problem with that word is lately, but there's different ways that you can do it instead of the way that I show you. This one's a bit fuzzy too. It's got this like, it's almost like twisted in with the thread. But we're almost done. If you wanted to, you could do an outline. I know I've already said that, but if you do decide to do an outline, I would do a really thin one like this one, like 2 strands. It doesn't have to be stem stitch if you don't want to. If you have a really dark green, even like this one, you can do a simple back stitch and it will look like a straight line. It will look like a solid line because dark colors tend to do that. The darker the color, the less you can see the individual stitches. They kind of all blend into one. And then I'm just going to do one more little short one here, because do you see how it looks like someone cut off the side of my leaf? And that should help to make it look a little bit more round. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to jump over here to the top and continue. And we're almost finished. This is one of those stitches that, like I said, you can kind of zen out and just stitch. Because genuinely, it's just come up in between these next 2 stitches and then down in a straight line. Easy peasy. like I said before, if you get into a little pickle, then always just do the full brick stitch, the full stitch. And you can always make up the other little side stitches later. So this one is really long, but I think it'll blend in okay. Thank you. Someone says, I love all the different greens in your patterns. My favorite color. Yeah, I mean, the more greens that you use and the more different colors of green, because there are lots of different colors of green, the more like nature it looks, you know? That's why when people get really like stressed out about their colors, in the end, it really doesn't matter, because if you look outside, if you go to a field, they're all different colors will be there, all of them. It's like you want to make it look pretty, but actually, when you throw them all together, it does look really nice without even really having to try. It's nature for you, like showing you up, you know? Hi, Susanna. I think I'll have to do one little stitch here. Yep. Late again, that's okay. Don't be sorry. I was a little bit early today, I'm not gonna lie, so some of it was me. So that's really it for today, just the brick stitch. And keep this one in your pocket just in case you want to use it again for the house. I know I have a knot on the back, but I don't want to flip it over. The show must go on. How did everyone get on with their satin and stem stitches yesterday? Wasn't it a lot to stitch? I'm really sorry. I debated having that one on a Friday just because then you'd have the whole weekend to like stitch it. But then I decided not to. I think we'll do one part of the house on Friday so that you have more time to stitch it over the weekend. And 6 strands, yes, stranded cotton. So there we go. There's my 2 leaves. Now you can tell I didn't go all the way to the line here, and that is because I wanted to leave that space just right there so you can tell that there's 2 separate leaves. In the pattern, I think I made them a little bit too close together. Told you there was a knot there. Yeah, so I think I drew them a little bit too close together. So if you are stitching it right now, try and leave that space there so that the stem and the leaf don't mix, you know? So this is what we've got so far. I hope you have a lovely day. I think it's meant to be really nice here in England, so I'm excited for that. Maybe I can go stitch outside, making another house with some different colors, I think. So yeah, be sure to go to the Barmy Fox SAL and leave some love on other people's stitching hoops. That's likes or comments. Even just the like is really, really nice. Comments are obviously lovely as well. And I'm not even gonna lie, it means so much. Like every single person that comments, I'm like, oh, they left a comment, I love it. So it's not just you that loves it, it's everybody. And be sure in your stories to tag at the Barmy Fox and make sure it comes up with that line underneath of it. Otherwise, I won't be able to reshare in my stories and I won't see it. So have a lovely day. It's Wednesday, by the way, if anybody was wondering. and I will talk with you tomorrow. All right, bye.